You are listening to The Growth Signal. My name is Alyssa Nolte,
I am Shivani.
and we're going to go right into it. Shivani, tell us, what is your hot take?
Oh, I think brands and business owners need to start looking at their brand beyond their logo, their color palette, and some fancy one liners. Brands need to dig deep. That's my hot take.
I think that this is a conversation that everybody needs to hear it, even if they've heard this kind of a thing before where your brand is more than your logo or your tagline or your website or your palette. It is hard to remember that, right? And
Yeah.
I love to see companies that are really thinking about their brand as a holistic experience. Every touch point, every conversation from your website, from your trade show experience, from your interactions with the actual people who work there, that is such an important experience and can truly color how we think of your business. And no amount of beautiful logo design is going to change that.
100%. I agree with you. And that is what I have been communicating through my podcast, through my stage appearances, through the work that I do, through the interactions I have with people when I meet them at events, because I really feel that suddenly everything is an Instagram pretty feed beyond. And then like that's a check mark that people think is what they need to do for a brand. But I really want this conversation to now become more deeper, more, wholesome, as you said.
Well, and it occurs to me, it's very similar to like if you go to someone's house and it's beautifully designed on the outside and it's gorgeous and it's very aesthetic, Instagram worthy, if you will. But then you go inside and it has kind of like an off smell to it, and maybe it's a little dirty inside, or maybe the layout is super weird. Maybe it's super clean, but the layout is weird. Your entire perception is colored of that house and that experience. And yet a lot of our companies that I'm talking to, and I'm sure you're seeing the same, they are slapping beautiful landscaping and a lovely paint color on the outside and forgetting that they need to make it smell good and that the layout needs to make sense.
Or
So,
you need to feel invited. Like once you're in,
yes.
you need to feel invited. You need to feel like they want you there. It's just not pretty on the outside. So I love this analogy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And 2, like, not only that, you wanna feel invited. People customers want to feel like you want them there. But not to the point where you're like, "Could you imagine if I invited you to my house and then I just followed you around the entire time, like, a few inches from you, and I was like, 'Do you need anything? You good? You need anything? Do you need anything?'" And, like, so needy to serve you because I want you to have a great time. There really is a balance, and for me, everything we're talking about falls under that category of brand. The way
Hmm.
you leave my house and the way you think about that experience is going to change your perception of my brand as a hostess,
Hmm.
and and I think companies are forgetting that. So take us through, like, if you came across a company who had maybe a beautiful exterior and a very questionable brand ideology, how would
Hmm.
you help them start to go down this path of thinking beyond logo, beyond palette, beyond that surface level veneer to a really truly in-depth brand thought process?
Amazing. I love this question so much because it just hits home with what the work I do. And the first person who I'm speaking to is the founder of that business, because that's who I work with. I work with the founder, creator, the person who is the reason why this brand is come into picture, right? So I really want to sit with them and go really deep into the idea of where they were when they thought about this, what their life story has been. It's basically the founder's story today is the pipeline. And, it's if you really want small business owners and, medium business owners, if they really want to start getting the emotional buy in from their customers, it's their story why they existed. It's not the pretty brand logo or the perfect feed that people, yes, will they go there and check you out? Of course they will. That's just, but is that enough for them to work with you or buy again? Because I also feel someone might buy for the first time, but the real win is when they buy again with you, right? That's the real win. And for that, I feel that the founder's story is the first place where you need to dig deep get so much stuff out of there, because that's when because people are buying from people, essentially at this stage. You're not just buying from the brand. Yes, the brand is there, but they are believing the person, their story. So the storytelling starts from the founder's point of view, and that's my first level of breaking the surface, and this start diving in deep. And that's where all the brand substance comes in. What was the purpose? What are your values? What is your vision? Where are you looking at? What's the mission? And I do understand that of late I've heard this is a chatter that who cares about your vision and mission? Tell me what's in it for me. I feel that which is right. Yes, as a customer, I'm like, what's in it for me? But I also feel that if this purpose and this value did not exist, the customer in front of you will not exist either. They came to you because they resonate to some extent with that purpose, that vision, what you're trying to do for your environment, the people who work with you, the people who you serve. It's all attached to that purpose. So I really believe that brand substance with the brand founder story, those are the first two levers I will start pulling on if I really want to now dig deeper into my brand as a whole.
I think there's a bunch of things that you said in there that I'm furiously taking notes in my little notebook
Oh.
here. And one of the things that I would love to get your perspective on is as you're working with those brand founders, number 1, how do you separate their ego and the way
Mhm.
they perceive themselves versus the way they need to be perceived by the market, number 1.
Mhm.
Um, Number 2, how do you craft a brand that doesn't require all of the context of their entire history, right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
listen to someone's entire autobiography, so how do you distill them down to a consumable brand? And then number 3, I think what is most important, what do you do when the founder doesn't have real clarity around who they are, who they serve, and what it is about them that makes them unique in the market? Because there are a million options out there.
Mhm.
In all reality, everybody thinks they have some unique, groundbreaking product or service. You don't. Someone else does it. The consumer has choice. So your only option is to differentiate on, in my opinion, on your brand and who you are as a company.
Mhm.
So how do you help them go from like, okay, separating myself from my ego, understanding that I have to get down to something that's a little more distilled, and then third, be very clear and have that clarity around who this brand is and what it's doing for the customer in their outcomes.
Amazing. I love this. The first thing I love that you asked about the ego and how sometimes it's not your whole story that needs to be out there, but something in relation to what you're doing and why you're here. So I want to lead with an example here, because I think that always helps for people to, you know, associate and resonate with. So I've been following this founder on Instagram and LinkedIn. Crystal, I forgot her last name, but she has an app called Shimmer. Okay. And it's for ADHD coaching. Now, this person, this founder herself is diagnosed with ADHD, right? That's the part of her story. That is something that she has suffered with, she has lived with, and then used it to her advantage to create that difference for herself. Today, her company is based around that purpose of helping people with ADHD so that they don't feel lost. They are also, using different ways to get results, which people without who are neurotypical can get. So I really love the fact that as a founder, I could have ego of not sharing the fact that, this is my struggle and I don't want people to judge me on my struggle. I rather talk about my achievements. This is a deeper inner work that I think as founders we can do, is where we go inwards and see what's the biggest struggle I have had in my life, which has basically, I think, failures are feedback and struggles are the milestones that actually make the person that you are. And the more you look inwards and work on it, I think you start separating the ego and you realize that you have a bigger purpose here. That's why you are here, and that's why you've created this company, service, product, all of that. So I think that's the first thing that you should do, is like sit with yourself and understand why you created this business. Because I'm sure it comes out of some struggle, because 99% of founders have built something because when they needed it, they didn't have it, right? So that's always the seed. That's always the seed of creating something. And so that's, I think, one. I think you asked what is the other question? I forgot.
Well, as as you think through, like, how do we go truly to the heart of what we are? Remove the ego, make sure that it's super clear and doesn't require my entire autobiography,
Yeah.
but also clarity from and relevance from the perspective of the consumer, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody cares about my story if it doesn't seem relevant to them.
Right. So here, I think what is important is context, because ADHD is such a huge. For example, again, I'm going back to this example. ADHD is huge. Like it's, you it could be a psychology subject matter expert, or it could be like a coach speaking about it. This company has several coaches, so they are using context. ADHD in workspaces, ADHD in parenting. So I think as, like, while you are very clear on your purpose, which has come out of your struggle, your story, uh, converting that purpose into context setting for the customer is very important. Otherwise, it is lost, because you can have a great heart, a kind heart, you have great articulation skills, and you can really talk about your struggle in the entirety of it. But what is relevant here in context to the customer is what what environment are you setting it in. So I think that is the win here, when founders are able to actually, you know pinpoint that context which really like resonates, and it's like, oh shit, sorry for the word, but it's like, oh my gosh, that's me, like, that's what I've been feeling. And I think those moments are so amazing, and for founders to actually interact with, because then they also start having a bigger belief in their struggle, a bigger belief in their purpose. Because when you start seeing these reactions from people, oh my God, that's me. I have been struggling with something like this for so long. And, all the, in fact, I would say all the mom parenting, creators out there, I think is born from this purpose, that people did not talk about parenting struggles yesteryears, right? Like everybody, it was all about a happy family, motherhood as this very natural phenomena that happens. Like this entire industry is standing up now because people want to talk about it. They have a platform to talk about it. It's not as rosy as it look. It's equally beautiful and equally hard. So I really feel that the way to get clarity across to your customer is to use your purpose, but set it in the context that it is so relevant to them that they can't look away. So yeah, that's how you really, really go and kill it.
I love that because there's someone that I follow on TikTok, and I followed her for a very long time. Her name is Annie, and I cannot remember how to pronounce her last name, so I'll have to tag her in the show notes. But one time I randomly sent her a DM after a post that she posted, and I said, "I feel like you just like opened up my camera and peered into my soul with this video."
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"How do you create content in such a way that really, like, connects?" And she replied back. I was shocked, actually. She replied back and she said, "I spend so much time in the trenches, understanding the people that I'm talking to. I know my audience because I used to be one of them. And not only that, I've evolved with my audience as my audience has evolved," right? Because the
Yeah.
problem that you solved maybe 5, 10 years ago might
Right.
not be the same problem that the world needs at this time. It might not even be the problem that you want to solve at this time, and that evolution happens. And I think we as people, this is just a fundamental truth of humanity. Like, we want to feel seen, and that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change when we're in a transactional customer to business relationship, right? And it's
Absolutely.
not as simple as like, oh, you and I are on a video call. I can see you, you can see me. But we want to feel that you recognize some fundamental truth in me, and I recognize a fundamental truth in you. And that's what our customers are looking for, that we understand whatever their fundamental experience is, and we are the ones that can deliver on it because we understand it. And if you don't
Exactly.
understand it, you'll never deliver anyway. But you have to get that hurdle of understanding first.
Exactly. I really resonate with what you just said. It's so beautiful because you can have so many ways of looking at your customers. And, oh, I'll give them a feature, I'll give them the next discount, and I'll give them the next, you know, whatever trend is in the market. But the fundamental truth of why your customer is because of that struggle that they resonate with. That cannot change. That should not change. And yes, you upgrade, you evolve. The problems, I always feel like there are no new problems, there are only new solutions. So, the problem exists and you just try to offer a better solution to it. So I hard agree to everything you said.
I also think you can't fake it too,
Mm-mm.
right? Like, people will feel it even if they can't put their finger on it, like, people will feel if it's not quite right, right? There's just something off, right?
Mm-mm.
And that's okay. I think a lot of times, especially as small business owners, we are looking for any dollar is a good dollar, right? Because 'Cause we're
Yeah.
trying to get, like, our businesses going. We have people who rely on us. It's all on us. We don't have the longevity or the history of these big brands where one bad quarter and they can weather it. Like, we have to
Yeah.
always be on the lookout for that. And I think a lot of times we will contort ourselves and our brands to
Mhm.
fit the dollar that has come through the door rather
Mm.
than rather than try to keep our brand pure and keep our who we are and why we set out to do this. Back to your original point, like, you have to sit and say, why am I here? And
Yeah.
not just in, like, the, why am I alive kind of context, but why am I here doing this business? Why did I choose to do this instead of doing something that was probably easier and getting,
Yeah.
like, a normal job? And
Yeah.
we can choose to contort ourselves into something that is not authentic to who we are, and therefore our brand will feel it, but our customers are gonna feel it too, whether or not we realize it, whether or not they
No.
realize it.
And I really feel that, to add to that, um, you will not get it right at the first time. Like, even as a founder with the storytelling, and as a small business owner, you think that because you have to do so many things at the same time, you may not get it right at the first time, but the momentum will build. So while you're sharing your story and your struggle, and it may not resonate initially, is because something about it is still not in the context setting there, but you'll get there. So I really feel that as business owners, give it some time. If you really, but that can only happen if you have conviction in this purpose that you've created. Because tomorrow, think about it, if Instagram goes away, TikTok goes away, are you still going to be doing this? Or have you just created this whole thing for the feed, for the, I don't know, for the cloud? Because if that's why your purpose has to be so big that tomorrow, if there's a new trend that comes in, there's a new platform now that you need to adjust to, but your purpose is so big that you are like, okay, I'll do that because that's where my customer is now going. I'm ready to do that because I really want this thing to help people. I really want this product to be seen by other people. The other day, I was meeting a business owner who's created something something for baby products, which has not existed in the market before. And it all came from their own pain point. Like, I can't believe that this didn't exist when I needed it the most. And that purpose is so big because babies are always going to be born. Mothers are always going to have that need for that product. That belief is so strong that tomorrow if Instagram goes away, it's okay. She's going to find out the next place where moms are going, and she needs to be there. So I really feel that your purpose has to drive you, and everything else will eventually create momentum for you. But your purpose and working on it, getting that clarity, sitting with it, doing the work is so important.
I it was This is one of those moments where you just feel like the universe connecting two people from across the country. And one thing that you said that I wrote down is, deciding what is your purpose. And it occurred to me that too many times, there's, like, the means to the end, right? The thing that we're trying to do. And I think we have to really, as people, decide what is a means and what is the end. Because I don't
Mhm.
know about you, but there's a lot of times where I confuse the two, where
Yeah.
I'm doing something in pursuit of a higher goal or a higher outcome, but I'm so in it in the moment as a founder, as someone who's trying to build it, as someone who truly loves what I'm building, that it's hard sometimes to step out and say, This is a means, not the end. So what are my means and what are my ends? And sometimes I feel like you need an outsider to come in and like help you with that clarity because it is really hard to look at yourself objectively and to look at your story objectively and not color it with this personal experience or this personal attachment to it.
Oh my gosh, that's so spiritual. What you just said. I'm like, I love it. It's so spiritual because this this higher purpose, this higher outcome that you set yourself to is such an important driving force that you don't just uplift yourself, you uplift everyone around you. And sometimes, yes, you do forget it, as you clearly said that very rightly, that the means to the end is your daily grind. And that daily grind can be so hard. So hard. It is hard. Like, let's just face
Yeah.
it. It's hard. And no one's asking anyone to gloss over the hard facts. But as I said, that conviction and that purpose is what will see you through every day. And I think it's also like, how affirmations and those things help. I think your purpose, repeating your purpose to yourself is another way to just remind yourself in those hard moments that, you know what, this is who I'm doing it for. And this is why I'm here. This too shall pass.
Considering all the people that you know or aspire to know, who else is out there? Who else should we be paying attention to?
Oh, I am part of this beautiful community of small business owners who are either in products and services. The community leader, the community curator, Crystal, is someone who I would highly think that you should get her here because she is amazing with her vision of how she looks at building communities. And because I really now have realized that as business owners, it can be very isolating experience when you're
Yeah.
creating something. And you very rightly said that the means to the end, the means is where you need some support and some, your people who sometimes just from the greatness of their heart, like, what, try it this way. Why don't you do this? And I think community is so beautiful while you're growing a business, seeing it through. I really feel that you should get Crystal here because she talks about community with a lot of heart.
And if someone is connecting with you, they want to learn more, they want to have greater discussions about brand beyond logos, beyond color palettes, the actual under the surface level conversation about brand and what it means for their business. Where can they find you online?
Think brand forward. That's three words. Think brand forward, and you put it on your web browser. You'll reach me. Put it on Instagram. You'll reach me. That's those three letters. Those three words are how you will find me anywhere. And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, very active, and my website.
Thank you so much, Shivani, for coming on the show today. I loved this conversation, and I know our audience loved it as much as I do.
Oh my God, Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.